You know the teacher I'm talking about, the one who actually made learning fun, like not like the PBS specials, but genuinely managed to keep your interest throughout all of class, did cool stuff that inspired you to go on and learn more. Well, I had exactly that teacher when I was growing up. You see, at my school, if you were in 7th grade, then it was natural sciences. If you were in 9th grade, you took biology. If you were in 10th grade, you took chemistry. If you were in 11th grade, you took physics. But sandwiched in the middle there was 8th grade, and a class that I can only describe as cool shit with Mr. Fresnelli. I do not understand to this day what exactly this man's curriculum was, but Mr. Fresnelli did all the shit that an 8th grade guy would obsess over. He towered over us at a remarkable, like, maybe 5'8". Yeah, not a big dude, but to an 8th grader, like, that was saying something. None of us had, like, really hit our full-on growth spurts yet. It was kind of surreal to come back when we were in high school and be like, oh, Mr. Fres is like, okay. He would roll into class, always on his bike, with the bicycle shorts that of course came down to here. Go to the 2nd floor bathroom in the Thompson building to change into his more appropriate dress shirt and, you know, particle tie, you know, with the atoms on it, because he was a science teacher. He taught the 8th grade class cool shit with Mr. Kratz. He was also the sponsor of the cooking club. I still use his crepe recipe to this day. He taught me how to make stuffed French toast. My wife is back there. She knows we owe a great debt to Mr. Fraz. But I remember one day, as we were moving through Mr. Fraz's curriculum that we could never figure out, because he taught aerodynamics at one point, which was an excuse for all of us to like make paper airplanes and like shoot them out a 2nd-story window and see who's went the farthest. Science, yeah. But one day, we had an experiment in class. Experiment days were always the best. And so this experiment involved a candle. There's fire involved, and there's 8th grade boys involved. This is not going to end well, but this was cool shit with Mr. Fraz, so we were going to survive somehow. And so what Mr. Fraz wanted us to do was we had these little toothpicks that we would dip in these solutions that he had prepared ahead of time. And then we would use tongs to hold those toothpicks over that candle, and it would produce a different color flame because of those solutions. I know, really cool stuff, right? Like we had like some cobalt chloride that we dipped a toothpick into and then held it over the flame, and like the flame turned blue. It's really cool. And so then we would clean off the tongs with a little bit of bleach, and then we would pick up another toothpick and dip it in another solution. Like we get like a green flame, and then we would put the tongs in a little bit of bleach, and we would dip another toothpick in a different solution and get another color flame, and then we would dip the tongs in a little bit of bleach. And at this point, my 8th grade guy mind says, you know, he's got medicine droppers sitting here for some reason, and he's got this bleach here. What happens when I put the bleach in the fire? What kind of color is that gonna make? If you didn't know this, I would say if you have bleach as a household cleaning article, I would encourage you to keep it away from anything flammable, because I learned that day that bleach is. I took a medicine dropper, filled it full of bleach, and of course I'm sitting there with my lab partner, Andrew Fournette, my best friend in 8th grade, and letting 2 8th grade guy best friends be lab partners. I'm amazed it didn't result in anyone being fired.
Fired.
There we go. And we have unintentional fun. And we have our medicine dropper full of bleach, and it's the moment of truth. And we can look across the room and see Mr. Fraz, our favorite teacher, with his back turned to us. And we look to each other. It's like, are we really gonna do this? Yeah. And so I squirted out the bleach, and a jet of fire, it wasn't so much a kaboom as more of a boom. And we just marveled at it for a moment. And then we realized that the candle would not relight. I don't know what kind of crazy chemical reaction did that. I did not learn that in Cool Shit with Mr. Fraz. But what I did learn is when you put bleach in a fire, it creates a very peculiar kind of smoke that scorched the top of the ceiling of the 8th grade science room. And from here things got worse. Because sitting across from me and Andrew Fournette was Ben Church and Philip McIntyre. Not to be outdone by us. No! They picked up their medicine dropper and they repeated our experiment, because part of the scientific method is you have to repeat the experiment to see if you get the same results. And sure enough, there was now a scorch mark on the lab ceiling above them as well. And realizing that his students were starting to experiment using the scientific method so pyromaniacally, Mr. Fraz put a stop to the experiment. And we, the 4 of us, got to clean test tubes for the rest of the afternoon. But admittedly, when I was sitting there, scrubbing test tubes with a bottle brush, looking up at my little scorch mark that I had made on the ceiling, which, as far as I know, is still there to this day. And Mr. Fraz, that was pretty cool, right? And he just walked up next to me and he goes, that was science, Tom.